Yo, peace, family. It's Chris from Tactical Precision Training. And I got a little video, man. I got another one. And this one is why the black community should not turn their back on the 2A community or the firearms community. Word. All right, so the reason we shouldn't turn our backs on the 2A community is simple. We shouldn't outsource our safety to another people. Period. Black people should not outsource their safety to the police force, to the government, to, the health services. And it's our responsibility to take care of ourselves. The moment we continue to allow other people to tell us what is right for our protection and what's not right for our protection is the moment we cease to defend ourselves and protect ourselves, which is what's kind of going on right now. So, with us denying the fact that the Second Amendment right is, is an avenue where we all are on equal playing fields, is backwards because our community is saying that we don't want to be able to protect ourselves. We don't want firearms in our community because bad guys have firearms. Whether they follow the law or not, bad guys have firearms. So you making it harder for yourself, the law-abiding citizen, to obtain a firearm is only going to make it easier for the criminal. It's only going to make it easier for the criminal because criminals do not follow the law. So if you're making it harder for law-abiding citizens, people who do follow the law, if you're making it harder for people who do follow the law to obtain a firearm to protect themselves, you're making a field day for violent crime because no one is there to protect themselves from the criminal who doesn't follow the law. It's common sense, but common sense ain't common these days. So if we really want to protect ourselves, it's our responsibility to do that by any means necessary. And I think that, we forget the history of the Second Amendment. I mean, not even the Second Amendment. We forget the history of gun control and why gun control was put in place. And the more we, as black people, jump on the bagging of gun control, we're putting ourselves at a disadvantage because we do not have the means to defend ourselves unless we rely on an outside source. Again, the police, law enforcement, the military, the government, etc. But to put your your safety and your well-being in the hands of someone else, that's detrimental. We already have, a shaky relationship with the police department. That's documented. It's not nothing new. We already have a shaky experience with the government. That's a fact. This is not something I'm making up. This is not something I'm pulling out of my rear end. This is real talk. And the more we deny this fact that there are, that the system isn't perfect, the more we deny the fact that the system isn't here to protect us, and we still give up our right to our Second Amendment, we're leaving ourselves in a victim state, to be victimized. We're preparing ourselves to be victimized because we're looking through the eyes of a victim. We're saying that because I'm a law-abiding citizen, take away my guns because you believe that the police force is going to protect you. You believe that the military force is going to protect you, and they don't protect you now. We were just up in arms about George Floyd and what have you, but now you want to disarm yourself? Make it make sense, people. Come on now. You got to make it make sense. So instead of getting rid of firearms in the community, you need to familiarize yourself with firearms. The lingo. What is a firearm? You need to take courses. You need to take classes before you even pick up a firearm. You don't even need to learn. You don't even need to purchase one for yourself, but know how to use it. It's viable information. It's very useful. It can help. It can literally save your life if you're in a dire situation. But we don't want to take responsibility in our own hands to protect our own lives. But Black Lives Matter. Come on now. We got to do better. And we got to understand that the gun control laws are strictly and mainly to keep firearms out of the black community. Not necessarily take them away from everybody. They just don't want us to have them. So this is something that we need to be behind. Why? Because it ensures your safety if you know how to use it properly. And I'm not condoning any type of violence in the black community, by the black community, towards the black community. No. I think we need to, retrain our minds on why we do the things we do. Instead of fighting each other, we need to use these firearms to protect our culture, protect ourselves, protect our mothers, our sisters, our brothers, and each other. Protect our community instead of destroying our community. Everything that's pushed and promoted in our community is for our own destruction. And it's for the upliftment of every other community except for ours. Now, if we reverse that energy and start putting that energy towards ourselves, towards our own protection, towards our own education, towards us educating ourselves, to us healing ourselves, the game is won on our part. All we got to do is flip. All we got to do is a complete 180. Not a 360 back to the same point, but a 180 and turn our backs on the way things currently are. All right? So I think, it's just common sense, man. Don't give up your right to protect yourself. You want to give up, on the same token, we want to give up our right, our Second Amendment right. The same token we talking about giving up our Second Amendment right, we also want to defund the police. The same police that we basically don't trust, the same government that a lot of us don't trust, but we want to leave it up to the government to correct themselves. Yeah, that's not going to work. That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. It's up to us to make that stand and say this is what's going to happen. The power's in the people, man. The power's not in the politicians. The power is not in the hands of those who control the media. The power is in our hands. And until we understand what that actually means, then we're going to continue to follow the lead of people that's leading us down a destructive path. Plain and simple, man. It's plain and simple. But the goal is to teach our community, to teach the youth the proper ways to use firearms, the proper way to store firearms, what not to do. Because the information that they're getting about firearms from the media and from television, Telvelocity of Vision, is all misinformation. It's all misinformation. But if you understood the ins and outs of the firearm community, if you had common knowledge, I'm not even saying professional, detailed knowledge about firearms, but if you had common knowledge of firearms and you listen to a lot of the rhetoric that the government is pushing to ban this and ban that, you would know that all it is to eventually take away all firearms and leave them only in the hands of those in power. That's not a good look. at all. It's not a good look at all, especially for us, right? So I'm not going to be on here too long because I could rant for forever when it comes to the 2A community and why it's so important for us to change the narrative about firearms in our community. But like I said, it's our job to change the narrative for the youth so they can see a better way. If we don't do that and they continue to follow the leads of these paid rappers and these paid individuals who are, giving a distorted view of how things are, our children, our future will continue to go on a decline. This is what Ye is talking about. This is what Ye has been talking about. But that's for a whole nother story. The people who control the messages that our children are getting, these messages aren't for their benefit. It's for their detriment. So it's like I said, it's up to us to control that narrative and change the game for our youth, for ourselves, for our future. And I'm going to leave it there, man. Peace. Shout out Tactical Precision Training. Oh, before I leave, November 5th, Saturday, November 5th, I'll be having an online Zoom course about developing personal protection and developing home protection. Developing a personal protection plan and a home protection plan. It's a course by the USCCA, which is a firearm insurance company that does a great job of informing people on the right and proper ways of dealing with firearms. So feel free, man. Click the link in my bio on my IG. That's Tactical Precision Training on IG. Click the link in my bio. Click the first link on top, and it'll send you to register for my class. But yeah, it's imperative that we get this information, because without the knowledge of defending yourself, without the knowledge of understanding how the laws go and the aftermath of a situation, you will kind of be stuck in. We're one step behind because we're outsourcing ourselves. So take the initiative to familiarize yourself with information that can potentially save your life. That's the biggest thing. Get information that can potentially save your life in the long run. Things like being situationally aware. Things like the Cooper color codes. Things like parking in a high-lit area. Not taking shortcuts. Simple things like these are what I'm going to be discussing in my class about having a personal and a home protection plan. Like I said, family, it's up to us to save us. It's not up to anyone else, any other ethnicity, any government body, any social media, or, any organization, any social organization like Black Lives Matter or the Red Cross or FEMA. These organizations are not here to save us. They make money off the trauma that we go through. So, again, it's our job to protect ourselves. It's our job to protect our families, our mothers, our brothers, our sisters, and to protect those that have made it to a status that can potentially save us in the long run. Again, sometimes we can be our own worst enemy, and it's time we change that. Peace, family.